Hey guys, it's Paul, combat veteran, MMA fighter, YouTuber. Today we're going to be checking out part 2 of Escape from Tarkov Raid episode 2. But before we get started, please be sure to hit like on the video because, of course, it tells the YouTube algorithm that I am making quality content and that I'm not just some clickbait guy. So, once you've done that, let's get into it. Okay, so it looks like they are doing some sort of stealth urban or building infiltration. I'm going to point this out. This is really idiosyncratic. Even within the U.S. Army, right, we have an official doctrinal way to do room clearing, but every unit does it differently. And that's just among regular Army units, paratroopers, that sort of thing. SEALs, Delta Force, I'm sure they have even different methods. So there's always going to be certain principles at work, but for example, having your point folks be 3 in front, that's again not something that I was trained to do. I was trained to have a single point person to minimize your exposure around corners, but I could absolutely see the value in having 3 guns facing your forward direction because that's your most likely point where you're going to make contact, and you want to be able to put lots of fire onto it. So again, sound in principle, maybe just a Russian style of room clearing. Again, you notice as they're moving down this hallway, they have 2 folks kind of staggered, facing forward, and this is probably to give them the maximum firepower forward. Normally you will have, of course, folks facing behind you and probably some of your men covering doors as you pass them.
Идем проверять второй корпус. У нас контакт. Патруль диких минус.
Okay, interesting. So we saw there the team, one of them checked the stairs, one of them eliminated the 2 scavs. It is sort of interesting that they really engaged those scavs very quickly. I didn't even see if there were weapons present. But again, in lore, I imagine that they probably consider this a sort of free fire area.
Контроль.
There's the double tap we've talked about in other videos. You always want to, as long as those enemy are in front of you, make sure they aren't just down playing dead. Okay. So did you see how his battle buddy behind him let him know that the rest of the team was in place by tapping him on the shoulder? And that's a really effective way to communicate when you're trying to maintain noise and light discipline in your movement. Normally what you would do is, if you've got a stack of, say, in their case, 8 people maybe, or 6, you're going to have, when that 6th person, that trail element, catches up to you or is in position, they're going to, some protocol is to squeeze the shoulder, sometimes it's to like grab at the thigh. It depends on what sort of armor you've got on and how bulky your gear is, and then every person down the line will do the shoulder grab, and so then the point man can just feel, hey, you've got your whole team set behind you, ready to move out when you are.
Контроль. Опять повсюду эта хуйня.
Okay, so here's what was interesting, is that we sort of see potentially a hiccup in their tactics, where, again, you had your 2 men enter the room to clear it. Again, they're trying to maintain noise discipline, so they probably didn't say short room, though, again, a way I was trained is that you call out short room so that you don't stack too many guys into too small a room. 2 men was about the appropriate amount of folks to cover this, but the other soldiers on the outside should have been covering down that hallway, and they should have returned fire as soon as they saw that head poke around the corner. So that's sort of a failure of those other 2 members of the team, or the other members of the team still in the hallway. They absolutely should have had that sector of fire. Hey, that firing maneuver looked great, right? You saw that one person was firing, putting fire, suppressing the enemy, as his battle buddies bounded back. Once they were set, his buddy said, hey, I'm moving back, or I'm getting out, and his battle buddy took over the suppression. Okay, this seems like a fascinating tactical decision, that it looks like 3 of their team members are outside the building. I can definitely understand the need to have an outer cordon or to watch your entrances, but that is putting a significant amount of your firepower outside of the building. So it's sort of a curious tactical decision to me. I was always trained, of course, that room clearing and clearing a building requires a tremendous number of shooters and a significant commitment of manpower. So for them to have a what looks like maybe only 60% of their combat power involved in the room clearing seems a little tactically questionable to me. But again, this is Russian tactics, VDV. The Russians probably have a very different sense of how these tactical operations should go.
Так, парни, вам 4-1 еще около 10 секунд заходит. Вот же твари.
Oh, okay, so it looks like it's just a 2-man team. That makes a little more sense.
Тут еще и диких подбежало. Ну сейчас, даже там точно раскурочит. Все, выдвигаемся.
Форс, мы идем к вам, идем к вам.
Okay, so if they saw these advancing USECs, what they could have done is opened fire on them before they got to the building. Not so much to kill them, but just to get their heads down, right? Because they're going to stop, they're going to take cover, they're going to figure out where the fire came from. It's going to buy your folks inside the building time to complete their exfil. Again, something to think about. I mean, one of the things that's sort of fascinating, and I'm sure it can feel this way, but the fact is they just came from that room and there's already enemy in it. Again, it's certainly possible. It's definitely, but it's usually you see that level of like super aggression out of enemy who are true like fanatics. And again, maybe this is a situation with the cult where they are willing to just like die and feel the dying is somehow honorable. and are just willing to, even though they think there could be a whole team of bear there, they just push right in. But again, that suppressive fire is pretty effective, and if they don't know that you have left, they will most folks will take the time, and it takes a little bit to figure out if the person you're shooting at has really vacated the area, if they've just stopped shooting, if you just can't see them, and if you can move in and advance. Okay, so really interesting. That is actually a pretty good illustration, though they sort of accidentally hit it, of what's called a flanking maneuver, right? In the way that when you have an enemy in a fixed location, right, you engage in suppression ideally, but in their case, they just had them pinned in that location. And then one of their friendly elements went around and came in from the side, and you can see that their cover was perfect for the firefight they were in, but pretty terrible for an attack from the side. So, again, a little bit more compact than you would see, but definitely an illustration of just how effective a flanking maneuver can be. And, of course, we're seeing here the difficulty in communicating and avoiding friendly fire. If you had 3 armed factions duking it out in one building, this is about as insane as I believe it would go.
Наш вылет в 23:50. Опоздавшие на борт будут догонять пешком.
Буду как штык, клянусь. Только у мамы надо отпроситься.
Правила знают все, на базе никаких мобильных.
Ah, that's a nice touch, man. Again, OPSEC. Things like GPS, phones, all that stuff can reveal your location. And like we talked about in earlier videos, you don't want to have that stuff because, one, just analysts or other people monitoring cell traffic can definitely infer your location or the location of bases. But if you are to be killed or just lose your phone or GPS device, you might find the enemy might be able to learn a lot about your movements from those devices.
Командир, а у тебя там спецсвязь?
До погрузки на борт еще 4 часа. Проведите это время с пользой.
где бировская группа? Мы грузиться сейчас должны.
Ты вы как, что ли? Да вон они!
Наш вылет только через час.
Так говорят, ваш командир переиграл все, но пораньше.
Okay, I'm just gonna point out again a little detail. Having like a platoon of kind of regular army airborne troops chilling on the tarmac, waiting for their SP time. Super realistic. Totally a thing that the real army would absolutely do, at least the U.S. Army. And I think it's sort of inherent to militaries everywhere. When you have these huge bureaucracies trying to coordinate a lot of things at once, you're always going to be sitting around waiting for your transport to land, waiting for the pilot to get out, waiting for things to fuel up before you head out. Yeah, waiting on the flight line, something I did so many times. Alright guys, so there we go. We finished out Escape from Tarkov, Episode 2, Part 2. Man, that was definitely the good half of that video. So much material. Again, really captured the frantic pace of combat, what they call urban combat, but really we're talking about building clearing. And again, there's some of the things there that aren't the tactics that I was trained on, but definitely look fundamentally sound. And real interesting illustration. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, again, please hit the like button, tell the algorithm that this is good stuff, and be sure to comment below if I've gotten something wrong, if I missed something, or if there's details that kind of only make sense if you are, you know, Russian, if there's a translation error or something like that. And of course, I will see you guys tomorrow with another video. So, have a good one.